Carmigo makes it easy to sell your car while still getting the best price. Instead of taking your car from dealership to compare offers, Carmigo uses their virtual vehicle scanning technology to bring the dealerships to you. Simply use your phone, take a few pictures of your car, then answer a few questions, and they'll share your car's listing with a whole network of buyers. And you can do it all from your phone. Buyers typically receive multiple offers on their cars in as little as a day. Plus, Carmigo handles all of the paperwork. They'll even pick it up.
Look, have mercy on me.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to On The Bluff, presented by Carmigo, the easiest way to sell your car on the internet. The thing I love about Carmigo, Kenny, is they make it easy for you, extremely easy, but you still get the best price. So instead of taking your car from dealership to dealership and getting different offers, all you got to do, take some pictures of your car, send them into Carmigo. They will use their virtual vehicle scanning technology basically to bring dealerships to you, because Carmigo has wonderful relationships with a nationwide network of dealers. So like I said, all you got to do, take some pictures of your car, answer a couple questions, and they will share listings with a network of buyers. So extremely easy, and you can have offers in as little as a day. And the cherry on top, Carmigo handles all the paperwork for you. So you guys may be wondering why we're on Zoom, why there's no Gabe Kuhn, and that is because there was some technical difficulties this week, because
your boy,
every once in a while, we love Kenny to death, but every once in a while he'll slip up, and he slipped up a little bit this week.
This finger pressed a button on the switcher. See, here's the thing, Christian, you got to understand, I'm still learning all this equipment.
Oh, I know. That's grace and mercy, man. I understand.
Like, I'm still learning it all. And so apparently there's a bunch of buttons. Like, if you're in the producer's room, there's a big old board with a bunch of buttons. And there is one button that mutes everything. And somehow that button got pushed. And I think I think that was the culprit right there.
I think you're right. So this week we'll have a bit of an abridged episode, obviously over Zoom, not in studio. We'll be back in studio next week, as long as Kenny gets everything right and we don't have to scrap the episode again. We had a great episode for you guys, so like hour and 15 minutes. Me and Gabe really didn't have a full plan going into it, so we kind of just riffed off each other and made fun of each other a lot. So you missed out on that, but we'll be back doing the same thing next week.
It's just not the same without Gabe, man. I'm gonna be honest.
It's not. It's not. I love recording with you, Kenny, but it's not the same without Gabe. But regardless, we're here. And the interesting part about it kind of worked out into our favor not to have an episode, because there have actually been some big things pop up over the last couple of days. You had on Tuesday. We recorded on Tuesday because of Memorial Day. Yep. So on Tuesday, there were reports from Leon from Go Tigers 247 that Deandre Williams could possibly return, and that kind of created a stir amongst Memphis media, mainly Memphis beat writers, to kind of track that down and see what was going on. Jason Munns tracked the story and said that what he was hearing is that it wasn't going to happen, and then Parth from the Daily Memphian ended up talking to Deandre's lawyer, who said they were actively in the process of working, with the NCAA or whatever to try to get a waiver for Deandre Williams to play another year. Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal also talked to his attorney, and they figured that out. So there's been a ton of reports from, from Leon, from Jason, from Parth. Doc Holliday got a quote, I believe, from Deandre Williams kind of on the situation and what was going down. So if you've been tuned in at all this week, you've seen Deandre Williams news everywhere.
Well, it's just been kind of a roller coaster, because even after all that stuff happened, Deandre's mother came out online and said that it wasn't going to happen, like that Deandre was not going to come back to Memphis. And so everybody's like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense, right? Like, no eligibility. Well, then Doc Holliday gets a statement from Deandre and his representation, where Deandre's basically like, hey, man, listen, my mom is awesome. Like, we all love our mothers. She's the rock of our family. I'll stay by her forever. But she wasn't up to date with where I'm at in terms of my decision and what I'm trying to do. And so it's just been this like roller coaster of of like, what is
News.
happening here?
Yeah.
How is, number one, how? Number two, when did this start? And number three, like, what's really going on? And so thankfully Deandre, through Doc Holliday and through his counsel, came out with a statement and basically said, hey, I'm trying. Like, I would be honored to pick up. I'd be honored to put on a uniform for 23-24 if I can.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really a crazy situation because you had, like I said, you had the news initially coming out on Tuesday, and then it kind of got dispelled, and then it was like, oh, never mind, it's correct. So it's been kind of a whirlwind of information on the Deandre Williams front. And I think Parth also put out that he spoke with compliance, and I don't know if it was recently as this week.
It was a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Because we had heard rumors behind the scenes of this also, but it was one of those things that we're like, we're not touching it. Like, we don't want to go there. Like, that's not really our avenue. Like, we're not beat reporters in a sense. So that's not, we kind of just break down and talk about the information, which
we're not
is
gonna
honestly
throw stuff out there. Yeah.
which is honestly a whole lot more freeing than having to worry about that stuff. I know the grind that those guys go through to get that information, and, the people that they talk to and the things they have to do. So I am glad that I do not have to do that anymore, and I kind of just get to talk about opinions and rumors and what's going on. It's a lot better. But yeah, Parth said he talked to compliance, and they basically said, like, we don't see a case, like, we don't believe that it would happen. And then you have DeAndre's lawyer coming out and saying, we feel like we have a very compelling case to make. So this is going to be an interesting situation to watch, in my opinion. Like, the way that it's already played out has been crazy, but with DeAndre, we know he's already had, a run-in with the NCAA when trying to transfer from Evansville, and the difficulty that took. He didn't get to play until the Tulane game. So he didn't get to play until conference play.
12th game of the year, I think.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. The 12th game of the year. So we know that he's already been there, has history with the NCAA. So it'll be very interesting to see.
Before that, the whole basis of his waiver is history even before that, his freshman year at Evansville. So,
yeah,
I mean, his career with the NCAA has just been, I'm sure he's ready to not have the NCAA in charge of his career anymore.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what they rule and what the case is in general, what exactly we get to see from it and hear from it, and what gets put out there into the world. I'm sure those guys that I just mentioned will be on top of it and put stuff out there, and we'll kind of get to see what's going on behind the scenes a little bit. But Kenny, initially, like, what do you think about this? Like I said, we have, this is something that we've known about for a couple weeks, but same thing, just not something that we were going to publicize or really even tried to dig on. It just was one of those things. It was like, okay, cool, whatever, move on, and we'll see if it happens. So what do you think about the potential of this return?
I mean, from a Memphis standpoint, I said this in a Discord last night or yesterday, that Memphis needs DeAndre as much as DeAndre needs Memphis. And I think that, so if you're coming at it from a perspective of, what does this mean for DeAndre? What does this mean for Memphis? I'm only going to speak on the Memphis side of things. This is absolutely, if they are able to get Deandre Williams back, and from our perspective, you're talking about the second best player in the AAC last year. I think
probably third best player.
I say second. We both have said second before. We have both said second. We thought KD was one and DeAndre was two.
I think we were making a case for it. I don't think we were making a blanket statement that was the truth.
Well, I made a blanket statement. You made a case.
Okay.
So you're getting, from some people's opinion, the third best player, or from some people's opinion, the second best player in the conference back in the fold, who immediately takes the Tiger team, fills a need, number one, and then just, I think, puts everybody's at ease in terms of like what the roster will look like going into the season. He provides a veteran leadership. He provides a skill set that would be incredible for Memphis and for Penny Hardaway. So if Memphis can get him back, man, I'd love it. I think that you only get to go through this experience of playing college sports once in your life, this little time frame. And so use up as much as eligibility as you can. Go for it. Have fun, enjoy this time, and then go live life, right? Like, so I would love it if they brought DeAndre back.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that kind of have a negative take on it, and in a sense, like I can see it just from a fan's perspective of being like, let's just get a whole new crop. And I don't necessarily err on that side because I just think the lack of continuity on this team could really hurt them early in the season. And we're talking about early in the season with this non-conference schedule that they have. They really don't have the time afforded to try to figure things out through the first 10, 12 games. Like they just don't have that. They have to win some of these difficult non-conference games to compete to go to the NCAA tournament. So I think having not only someone who's been on this team for multiple years like Deandre, but also the leadership that he has.
Right.
We know what he brings as far as a leader. So that's something that I feel like this team could be missing. We don't know. We haven't seen this team on the floor together yet, so we don't know really who the leaders are. I mean, you're not really bringing anyone back, so it's like, as far as us, like we haven't covered TFAO Leonard and Jonathan Pierre and Caleb Mill. Like we haven't covered these guys on a team that we covered. So we don't know what their leadership is exactly like. Like we haven't seen that like we've seen with Deandre Williams. So immediately getting that leadership presence back, which is a big thing, but then also just the production. I mean, he was one of the top 3 players in the conference last year, first team All AAC. I think he was the best big. Some people may make an argument for Jarris Walker, who's probably going to be a top 10 pick. And I guess you can make that case. I think, Deandre is a better collegiate player, and Jarris is obviously a freshman that has huge NBA upside. So there's a difference there. But as far as just collegiate players right now, where they're at, Deandre is a better player. And he just brings that edge back to this team that I think is kind of the glue for it. Like it was in part that last year also with Alex Lomax, like being the heart and soul of the team. And so to try to find that over a couple of months heading into the season, I feel like can be a difficult process. And so to go ahead and get that back in the fold early and know that Deandre is there, that would be awesome. Now, we'll see how it shakes out because it can't be an easy situation to process because you look at what Compliance said that, he's played 5 seasons. He was afforded his COVID year. Like we don't see a case. And then on the other side of it, you see Deandre and his counsel saying that they feel like they have a really good case and that they can get another year. So who knows how this plays out? To me, the one negative and the one drawback of it is that if you do have multiple scholarships open, which if we're just projecting, nothing concrete, who knows, projecting, I'm kind of operating in the sense that they have 3 spots.
Yeah.
And that's hypothetical. It's projecting. That's me saying Mikey's not going to come. That's me saying I don't know what's going to happen with Ryan Forrest. Like, is he going to come or is he going to be, is he going to end up being a scholarship player? What happens there? And then the one open spot that they currently have. So I'm just going to operate as of right now today on that they have 3 open scholarships. And if you do, and you got 3 spots to fill, players are drying up from the transfer portal. Guys are just now deciding whether or not they're going to go into the NBA draft or if they're going to come back. Some of these guys have already entered the transfer portal and entered the NBA draft. So you've got a lot of guys falling back right now. So if you're spending time waiting on Deandre, let's say Memphis, let's say all that stuff that I said is true. Mikey's not coming. Ryan's either not coming or not going to be on scholarship. And you have an open spot. So you have 3 spots. Let's say they get 2 guys within the next week or so or next couple of weeks. And then they have 1 floating spot waiting on Deandre. And if that doesn't come to fruition, then you're, in an even worse spot than you are now. So that's my only negative to it is it could prohibit you from getting someone in this time period that it takes Deandre and the NCAA and his council team to get things figured out. If that's the biggest negative, I'm okay with it though, because I know what he brings if he does get cleared to come back.
This is not obviously with his counsel involved, this is not a legal thing. He's going to the NCAA, right? So he's not dealing with this in a court system. He's dealing with this within the way the NCAA policies and procedures and letting them make the decision, right?
I would assume so. I don't know exactly.
Because we know how we know how the NCAA works, right? Like they take their time on stuff like this, and so I do think that what you just said is a legitimate concern. Like, you know, do you hold a spot for DeAndre, a scholarship for DeAndre, not knowing whether or not it's going to happen? You know, not knowing
Right.
when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. You know, things like that. But you know, I think that. You know, I think their expectation is those guys will probably know pretty quickly what the case is. What do you think you think he has a good chance? I mean, do you think his case is legitimate?
I have no idea. I don't know what their case is, and I have no clue. Like, even looking at it, I don't really understand it, and I don't really understand what their case is going to be. But I mean, if they feel confident enough to even try it, you know, when he could be pursuing a career or overseas or whatever the case may be, like whatever he wants to do next with his life, if he could be pursuing that and instead is pursuing this, then I feel like at least they think that they have a good chance.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows with the NCAA? The NCAA never likes to admit that they're wrong, or kind of give leniency and credence to student athletes. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to say my hopes are extremely high. I'm kind of even keeled on this right now. Like,
kind of a wait and see
right.
kind of approach. And I think truth be told, like, we can sit here and prognosticate on you know, the NCAA and what they're going to do, and nobody really knows. Like, nobody really has a true grasp on what the NCAA, the decisions that they're going to make. Just as a personal perspective, I want the best for DeAndre, man. I want him to do what's best for him, for his family, and if that means coming back and playing for Memphis for another year, then let's go. But if it means him moving on and pursuing other goals, then go do that. But it's clear he's put his eggs in the basket of, I want to try to play one more year because I think I have a good case to do it. And if that's the case, man, then I think I'm on board. I'm on board with it.
Yeah, I mean, in the 5.5, 6 years that I've covered the team, DeAndre has been one of my favorite players to cover. So I'm not going to complain at all for him coming back. I'm a huge Deandre Williams fan. I think he brings a lot to the team. So I like it a lot. So we only got really one other piece of news that we're going to break down real quick and jump out of here. And that is a visit that was taken by a transfer portal player to Memphis recently. St. John's transfer David Jones posted on his Instagram. Was that yesterday?
It was yesterday.
It was yesterday. Okay. So on Wednesday, David Jones posted on Instagram pictures of him at the University of Memphis basketball facility. We've been very curious on targets and visits and stuff like that. Me and Gabe spent a lot of time talking about it on Tuesday in the unreleased episode of On the Bluff.
And the VIP podcast that we did on Monday, on Tuesday.
Right. And now we actually get to talk about someone that was on campus and is a legit transfer portal guy, and that is David Jones. Last year at St. John's, played 31 games, 26 minutes a game, averaged 13 points, almost 7 rebounds, over 1.5 assists, 1.3 steals. So very productive player. The only thing about this is he's already transferred once before. He transferred from DePaul to St. John's and now looking to transfer again. So he will need a waiver. Back to the NCAA and the waivers and the potential that plays. And I think we're right on that. He's been in college 3 years. I don't think he was an early grad or anything. I haven't seen anything about it. Like, I haven't seen anything saying that he wouldn't need a waiver, that he would. I haven't seen that he's a graduate transfer. And like I said, he's been in college for 3 years. So numbers say that he doesn't. Some guys do graduate that early. Who knows? Like I said, I haven't seen anything about him being a grad transfer. So I think I have seen though that he will need a waiver. I'm pretty sure on that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I really like his game. I was watching some of his highlights last night. A guy that can play the 2 or 3, more of a 3, more of a slashing wing, which is kind of what they have already. Like it is kind of a weird position to go after because they have Jonathan Pierre who can play the 2 and the 3. They have TFL Leonard who can kind of play the 3 and what?
They don't. I said that I told this to TJ and Trey last night. TFL Leonard is not a guard/wing anymore. Did you see his driver's license?
No, what did it say? Like 6'10"?
He's 6'10", but he's 6'10" now.
Yeah,
he's not a 6'6", 6'7" wing anymore. He's a 6'10".
I was gonna say 3/4. I wasn't gonna say him as a guard anyway. I saw them using him as a 3 and 4 with his 6'7", but now at 6'10", yeah, I still think probably 3/4. I still think he can play the wing. So it just feels like this is a position that they've hit really well in the transfer portal. A lot of people have talked about, point guard and center and stuff like that. And I think what is all this telling us? Like, everyone keeps hammering home the true point guard and the true center. This is just showing me that they're not concerned, that they're going to play positionless basketball.
Yeah,
that's what all that points out to me. That like their median height's probably like 6'6", 6'7". They don't really have any shorter players on this team. I think as of right now, Jalen Young is the shortest player at 6'2", 6'2".
Yeah.
So you really got a lot of long 6'6", 6'7" guys on this team. Nick Jourdain being 6'9", and Chandler being around 6'8", 6'9" as well. You said TFL Leonard's at 6'10" now. Jonathan Pierre 6'9", 6'10". Caleb Mills 6'4", 6'5", something around there. So like it tells me all we can look at is the information that we have and the players that they currently have. And it tells me that they are trending towards positionless basketball, which they did at times last year. A lot of small ball lineups. They just had a true point guard. Mm-hmm. That to me, that was the only big difference is they had an elite caliber starting true point guard, and now they just have a lot of athletes. Like they're just going to positionless basketball is what it looks like to me. Now, could they come out and get someone and change that? But yeah, all we can do is kind of make guesses and make educated guesses off of the information that we're given, and that's what it says to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it kind of reminds us. Do you remember going to the facility? Was it the 21 year when they had the Amani and Jalen Duren year when we walked into the facility and we were like, this is the biggest basketball team we've ever seen. It sounded when coming into the season, it felt like their starting five. I think Lester might have been the smallest guy on the team, and he's a legit 6'5", right? Like the smallest guy on the starting five. Now they don't have a Jalen Duren and Malcolm Dandridge type bigness right now on this team, but it does feel like Penny is absolutely moving away from, that idea that you got to have all these five positions represented on the court at all times. And there's a certain weight limit, height limit, all that kind of stuff. And if there's anybody that knows how to do that, it's Penny. I mean, he is the originator of that 6'7" point guard type role.
Not the originator. Magic Johnson. Come on.
Was. Listen, sometimes I talk. Magic Johnson was the originator, but Penny Hardaway was one of those guys.
Was 2.0.
So, yeah, there you go. But no, it's interesting, man. Like I do think that there's still irons in the fire. I don't think that this roster's definitely not set. I do think that Penny is actively specifically by this David Jones visit. He's still reaching out to people, still talking to people. And if there are people that he can get, there's still traditional size point guards out there that if he wanted, he could get. It'll be interesting to see what direction he takes, man. This could be a very unique year of Memphis basketball in terms of what this roster looks like and what roles they play.
Yeah, and Kenny, isn't that the guy who just who just took his name out of the draft that was at Tennessee? Do you know how to say his last name?
It's very difficult for me. I am very bad with this. Let me see.
I think it's Olivier Nakam.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna try.
We got to learn it if he decides to come to Memphis, but
we will at that point. But man, some of these names are so hard, and we've always kind of sucked at names. But
yeah, absolutely. Olivier.
Regardless, I know his name is Olivier. It's how do you say the freaking last name?
Yeah.
I'm about to get it. They have it on the Tennessee roster page where you can hear the pronunciation.
Knock him how?
Olivier Kamwa.
Whoa. Kamwa. That's easy. I was way off.
Way easier than what I was thinking.
So the N is silent. All right. The N is silent.
Yeah.
Kamwa.
So that that's another. You talked about iron in the fires. That's another one. He just pulled his name out of the draft, and he's in the transfer portal. I think it was Jonathan Givony that put it out yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. He said Memphis included Memphis in the teams that were in hot pursuit of Olivier. So that's another guy that Memphis is in on. So there are things happening. They may not be as prevalent as a lot of fans and media want them to be, and it may not be as up in our face as we're used to. But Olivier, another 6'9" guy, averaged 11, 5, and 2 and shot 50% from the floor last year and was really, really good down the stretch last season, the SEC tournament and NCAA tournament. Like, he looked really, really good. So another guy, he's not 6'11", he's 6'9", 6'10". That's kind of that same build as Nick Jourdain, 6'9", 236. So he's got some size, like he's a bigger dude, but he's not necessarily what you would think about the traditional center. So that would be another really big addition if they could get that. I know that like Jonathan Givony said, that's someone that they've been pursuing. That's one of those lines that they've kept open while he, tested draft waters and was in the draft process. So things are happening at least a little bit more than they were, as of a couple of days ago. We're starting to get news fluctuating in different areas. So I know that's at least encouraging for fans to see names pop up at this point.
That's right, man. I mean, the work is not done. I mean, this literally is June 1st when we're recording, June 2nd when this will come out. Players were able to remove their names out of the pre-draft workout, the combines, the NBA pre-draft stuff. They were able to remove their name from the draft yesterday. And, I'm sure there's a lot of conversations that are happening behind the scenes. So, there's a lot that could still happen. And I think, what is it? Eight players are on campus already, which I think is great. Get them in campus, get them on campus, get them ready, get them working out with each other, get them playing ball together. And then as news and stuff starts to trickle out, we've got June 29th is a big date for Mikey. We've got all this stuff. I think, DeAndre stuff is coming up soon. We'll know a lot very quickly, I think, about what this team's going to look like.
But I think that's really it for us on this one. Like I said, it's going to be an abridged episode. We're probably at about 20 plus minutes right now. So we're gonna keep it short and sweet because we're not going to walk back through everything that we already talked about on Tuesday. So before we get out of here, Kenny, you got anything else?
I got nothing else, man. But thank you, Carmigo, for sponsoring this podcast. Being the presenting sponsor. Y'all check out www.carmigo.io/onthebluff, and you can get $50 off your first purchase with Carmigo. Great company to work with.
Yep, I agree. Like Kenny said, carmigo.io/onthebluff for $50 off. But that brings us to an end of the day. So if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, head over to any of our podcast platforms and you can listen and download there. Also go to bluffcitymedia.co. Check out all the articles, podcasts, videos. It's kind of the one-stop shop for everything that Bluff City Media does, from University of Memphis coverage to Memphis Grizzlies coverage, everything. Showboats, Redbirds, 901 FC, all Memphis sports. That's the hub for everything. So we appreciate you guys for watching. Gabe and I will be back in studio next week, and we will see you then.
Thank you for listening to On The Bluff. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co for comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports and how you can become an insider.